If you're watching this video, there's a pretty good chance that you've been in a situation in which a narcissist has promised you that they're going to change, that they've finally seen the light and that they just need one more chance. I know how heart-wrenching and confusing this situation can be. How do you know when to give someone another chance and when to walk away? How do you know when to keep trying and to keep putting effort into a relationship and when it's time to quit? I'm going to explore this with you today in this video. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. I know this is a really difficult topic. I've experienced it firsthand. It's really hard to give up on something that you wanted so badly, that was so important to you, something that you almost felt forced to walk away from. This is a huge reason that so many abuse victims repeatedly return to abusive relationships. This is a huge part of the reason that abuse victims have such a hard time getting away and staying away, because we're finally hearing all the things that we've been longing to hear for who knows how long. We're finally seeming to get somewhere. Finally, this person's listening to us. They finally seem to get it. But let's look a little deeper at what's really happening here. These moments usually come after we have finally reached a place of empowerment, of clarity, maybe some liberation, and these false promises or these things that we've been waiting to hear, or maybe even the desperation and the sudden epiphanies that seem to be happening in the narcissist really undermine this power that we have finally found within ourselves. It really cuts us down. It really makes us second guess ourselves. It makes us wonder if we're really doing the right thing. Did I make it all up in my head? Am I being too harsh? Should I give this person another chance? I mean, you're probably experiencing this with somebody that you've been with for a long time that meant a lot to you. And finally, this person seems to be willing to work with you, to listen to you. Is this really the time that you should give up? When you finally seem to be getting somewhere with this person, when they're finally doing the things that you've been asking for who knows how long? Why would you walk away from a relationship that you've been working so hard on, that you've put so much time and effort into, when it finally seems to be going the way that you've been trying to make it go? Why would you walk away in that moment? And it's really easy to look at it that way instead of looking at it as that's what it took for the relationship to finally be a tolerable one. You had to walk away. You had to find some empowerment. You had to try to take your life back in order for this person to finally seem to be listening to you. This is why this happens. It doesn't happen because the narcissist suddenly realizes what they have to lose. It doesn't happen because the narcissist suddenly realizes that he or she has been totally unreasonable and maybe even cruel and abusive. It happens because you're being manipulated, because this is your Achilles heel, because this is the thing that the narcissist has known all along will get you to do what the narcissist wants you to do. And what the narcissist wants from you is control. That's really all the narcissist cares about. And in the moment of empowerment, in the moment where you decide you've had enough and you're trying to break things off with this person, that's the moment that the narcissist is losing control. And that's all the narcissist cares about. The narcissist doesn't care about losing the relationship. The narcissist isn't going to miss you. The narcissist doesn't suddenly appreciate you. The narcissist just knows that suddenly pretending to care about all the things that you've been complaining about for who knows how long is the way to manipulate you back under control. The narcissist knows what to say and how to act to get you to do what the narcissist wants you to do, to come back under control. So that's what's happening here, and that's why it's so confusing and so seductive, because that's what it's designed to be. It isn't authentic. It isn't real change. It's manipulation. It's effective manipulation. It's like if you lived somewhere where you were forced to go hungry every day and all you ever did was beg for food and try to find the best scraps you could find. And you finally one day decide that you're tired of being hungry, you're tired of digging for scraps, and you decide to leave. And the minute you decide to leave, suddenly whoever's been holding you captive in this imaginary house is just showering you with food, giving you all the food that you want. It's really hard to continue walking away when you're suddenly getting all the things that you've been aching for, that you've been begging for who knows how long. It's not just that these promises to change are nice things in and of themselves. It's that you've been desperately longing for these things for quite a while, and finally you've got them, or it seems that you've got them. So let's look at the difference between your perspective as the abuse victim and the abusive narcissist's perspective. From your perspective, when the narcissist is promising to change, lights are going off in your head. You're elated. You're thinking, finally, he or she gets it. Finally, they're listening to me. Finally, I can get the things that I need. I'm having my needs met. I'm being validated. And it just feels wonderful. You've got endorphins and dopamine just rushing through your system because all these things that you've just been dying for are finally yours. And you kind of feel like you're at the end of this long journey and finally things are going your way and you made it through the hard part and finally everything's going to be worth it. Finally, this person understands that you're serious because you actually threatened or did leave. So finally this person gets it, and it kind of makes sense that way. You kind of tell yourself that that's what's happening, that finally this person understands that you're not kidding around when you are begging for these things that you need, and that's your perspective. But you need to understand, if you're in this situation, the perspective of the narcissist in the same situation. The perspective of the narcissist is one of panic. The narcissist is panicking because they are losing control of you. Not because they're losing you, not because they're losing the relationship, not because of any feelings of love or affection that they have, not because they're going to miss you, miss talking to you, miss you as a person, but because they are losing control. And that panic and distress that we sometimes see in narcissists is often genuine. They're not necessarily faking that. I mean, sometimes you can see some crocodile tears. They're certainly not above faking deep emotions, but a lot of that distress is real. They really are freaking out. They really are panicking. They really can't stand the idea of losing, especially losing control of somebody that they once controlled. I cannot overstate how important it is to a narcissist to control the people in their lives. When they are losing control of somebody that they once controlled, to them, it feels like the end of the world. It feels like their life is over. This is a very, very threatening feeling. They will say or do or promise anything in order to stop this, in order to regain control, in order to keep you from leaving. And it's not because they want you around, it's because they want to control you. In some instances, these promises they make to change are actually made in sincerity. Some of them actually think that they're making sincere promises to change, but it's really a lot like a little boy that wants a puppy and just begs his mom, if please can I have a puppy? And the mother makes the boy promise, okay, but you're gonna get up every morning and feed this puppy and take care of this puppy. And the little boy promises, yes, I promise. And of course we all know how this goes. The mother is the one that ends up taking care of the puppy. After maybe a week, the little boy realizes, oh, this is way too much work. And it's a classic story, right? And that's kind of the trap that a narcissist might fall into. So even if they're sincere in their promises to change, which is not impossible, that does not mean that they're going to be able to fulfill those promises. That does not mean that the panic of losing control is going to continue to motivate them after you've decided to give them another chance. It's just like making promises to someone when you're in a desperate situation. It's like taking a loan out in a desperate situation, thinking that you're going to be able to pay it back. And then when the heat's off, when the panic's over, when the crisis is managed and reality sets in, you realize, wait, how am I supposed to pay this loan back? And the narcissist will realize, wait, why did I make all these promises to this person? I don't want to do all these things. I don't want to behave this way. There was nothing wrong with the way that I was treating this person before. Who does this person think he or she is telling me what to do? They were the ones that whatever, yada, yada, yada. The narcissist is always going to be the victim at the end of the day. And this is no exception. It certainly might seem like it is when the narcissist is saying how sorry they are, begging for forgiveness, promising to change, swearing that they finally understand and see the light and they'll do anything to keep you in their life. They might actually mean it when they say all those things, but they aren't going to mean it for long, and they're not going to keep that motivation any longer than after they finally feel safe again and back in control. They're just going to go right back into their old habits. I think it's really important to understand that this is part of the abuse cycle, that when a narcissist or an otherwise abusive person is promising to change their ways, this is not a sign that things are finally getting better. This is actually part of the abuse cycle. This is actually a red flag of abuse. If you are trying to leave a relationship, if you have had enough and you've given up and you're trying to get away, and now you're finally suddenly being promised the things that you wanted, you're being manipulated and guilt tripped into not leaving, that is part of the abuse cycle. That in and of itself is a sign that you're being abused. It's nothing to celebrate. Trying to walk away from a healthy, well-adjusted person that actually cares about you isn't going to feel confusing and like a guilt trip, and this person's not suddenly going to change everything about themselves. Somebody that really cares about you, that's in a healthy state of mind, is going to let you go. They may try to talk things through with you and try to understand if there's anything that can be done, but they're not going to just suddenly change their whole personality and promise you the world and get on their hands and knees and beg you not to leave. Healthy, well-adjusted people that care about you aren't going to beg you to stay with them if you really want to go. Now let's talk a little bit about what it would actually mean for the narcissist to change, because despite all of this information that we might understand, it's still a very seductive idea. It's very hard to let go of those little slivers of hope that say, well, maybe there's a chance, even if it's 1 in a million. So you say there's a chance. It's so hard to give up on something that isn't 100% impossible when we are so addicted to this abuse cycle, when we are so trauma bonded. So I want to take it a step further, and let's say that the narcissist really means what they're saying. They really truly intend on following this through and changing their ways. What would that actually look like? What would that actually entail? How could that happen, even if the narcissist was serious about doing it? If you think about it, I think it's pretty apparent that this kind of change cannot happen spontaneously because somebody finally realizes the error of their ways. This is a complete overhaul of the way that somebody copes emotionally with their life. This is the breaking of a very, very deep-seated pattern. This is a complete overhaul of somebody's personality, of entitlement, of the way that they feel like they have a right to treat you, of things that have worked for them, things that make them feel better when they're having a rough day. This is like asking somebody to completely change their outlook on life, their personality, what motivates them, how they cope with things. This isn't something that somebody can just change overnight, even if they wanted to, even if they promise they will. For a pathological narcissist to learn not to be abusive takes years of specialized therapy. if they find a therapist that really knows how to work with them, if that's something they actually want to do. And even if they do all of this, which is 1 in a million that would happen, even if they do all of that, you being someone that they used to abuse, you are almost like a drug to them that they are trying to break an addiction to. Even if they learn how to build healthy relationships with people, and even if they learn how to stop being abusive, which again, 1 in a million that would ever happen, it would be virtually impossible for them to learn how to live that way with you, with someone that they are used to abusing, someone that they have learned a certain dynamic, a certain unhealthy dynamic with. And unfortunately, with pathological narcissists, there is nothing special enough about anyone that would make them put special effort into learning how to have a healthy relationship with you or with somebody specific. So what I'm trying to say is they would have an especially difficult time learning how to have a healthy relationship with somebody that they once abused. And there's nothing special enough about you or anyone else to the narcissist, from the narcissist perspective, that would motivate them to overcome that. This is an extremely complex problem that can't be solved by just saying sorry. Even if they really are sorry, narcissists can't just say sorry and change the way that they function in life. And almost all of them are not willing to even try to do this in the first place. Think about how much effort this would take. Think about how much effort it would take to completely change the way that you function in life, and think about how much easier it is for a narcissist to simply beg, plead, say all the things you've been longing to hear for who knows how long, promise to change, maybe guilt trip you, maybe remind you of all the great things that they've done for you, and then just get you to give them another chance one more time by doing all that stuff. That's way easier than actually changing, and that is what they're going to do every time for as long as it works. And when you stop falling for it and stop giving them another chance, then they'll just find somebody else that will give them multiple chances the same way you did. And to them, it's all the same. And to them, it's much, much, much easier than actually changing. And why would they? Why would they change when they can just replace you after you've stopped giving them multiple chances? There's really no reason for them to. The only reason that they would stop doing this is if they ran out of people, if this stopped working for them, if they absolutely could not find a replacement. And unfortunately, I think many of us have seen how easy it is for them to find replacements for anyone in their life. And to them, people are completely interchangeable and replaceable. So there's really no reason for them to actually change. And just to give it every possible chance we can, let's go back again to our 1 in a million scenario. For it to be even remotely possible for a narcissist to change their abusive pattern of behavior and to change it for you and engage in a healthy relationship with you, you at the very least would need to be separated while they work on themselves. You can't just step right back into the relationship. You would have to be separated, I would guess, for at least a year while they do intense work on the reasons that they keep leaning into these abusive patterns. They wouldn't be able to engage with you while they're trying to work on themselves because they're too used to how easy it is to just use you as some kind of punching bag. I think by the time you're in a relationship with someone that you are trying to end, you're trying to get away from, and they are now making these desperate last-ditch promises to you, in my opinion, that's the point where it's too late. That's the point where you're already starting back on the loop of the abuse cycle, where if you give them another chance, you're basically guaranteeing to yourself that you're taking one more ride on that Ferris wheel. And it's really up to you how many rides around that Ferris wheel you want to take. You don't owe them any more chances. You don't owe someone that has abused you any more of your time. You are not a bad person for telling somebody that has been cruel and abusive towards you that you don't care anymore. You don't want to be with them. You don't want to give them another chance. You have a right to walk away from somebody that has treated you like you don't matter, that has refused to listen to you, that you had to actually walk away from in order to get their attention. You have a right to walk away from that and to start a life away from that kind of toxicity and invalidation. Narcissists have a way of making you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, for protecting yourself from their behavior. There is nothing to feel guilty about. You owe it to yourself to take care of yourself the best way that you can, because nobody else can do it for you. And if this is the second or third or fourth time that this person has sworn to you, has promised that they finally get it, that they're finally going to change, it's really up to you how many times you want to see if they really mean it this time. At what point is enough enough? They aren't looking out for you. It's time for you to start looking out for yourself. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.